Tonight on Canning with Leah, we're freezing, not canning, because my green beans in my garden wouldn't stop producing this year. I didn't expect to be picking green beans at the end of September, but here I am processing green beans from the end of September. So we picked them tonight with the headlights of the UTV, and now I have them cleaned and I'm cutting them. Usually I cut them into thirds, and then we'll freeze them. So what I'm doing here is I usually wash the green beans and then put them in this strainer. And then I put the strainer here on the island so I can sit down while I'm cutting my beans. And then I cut them on the cutting board. And then I save all the snippings on the plate so that I can give those to my chickens. And then the finished snippings go into the bowl here. And then after I'm done, I'll blanch them. And I'll show you more of that in just a moment. Usually once I'm getting close to being done snipping the green beans, then I'll go and fill my pot with water so it can start boiling, because that can take a while. Now we'll get that water boiling. So now I have all of my green beans washed and snipped, and my pot of water is finally boiling. We can go ahead and blanch the green beans. So I generally like to blanch one strainer full of green beans at a time, because when I'm done blanching, I pour them right back into the strainer so that you're not pouring them all over in the sink. So it's boiling, and you kind of just have to very carefully pour them into the pot. And I don't know, maybe there's a better way of doing this, but this seems to work for me. So now I have them in the pot, and now that they're in the pot, the guidelines are generally about 3 to 5 minutes for blanching green beans. So usually I just watch them and use my wooden spoon and kind of stir them around a little bit in there and wait 3 to 5 minutes. So now it's time to go ahead and pour the beans out. And I'm going to pour them in the sink into the strainer that's I already put in the sink. And so I immediately start spraying it down with some cold water. And then I often have my assistant Ben here, my husband, get me some ice cubes. That'll help cool them down a lot faster. If you could get me some ice cubes, that would be great. Thank you. You just really want to get the beans cooled down at this point. And then usually for efficiency purposes, I'll start filling up another pot of water. I've got more to blanch. That way I can start boiling the next batch while I'm working on this batch. We're back over at the island here getting the beans ready for the freezer. So I let them sit in the strainer for a while so that most of the moisture goes away, because you don't want the beans to be very wet when you're putting them into the freezer. So I like to use the food saver for getting the beans into the freezer to help cut down on the freezer burn. However, if you're just doing a smaller batch, feel free to just put them into Ziploc bags and just make sure that you use those green beans the first, when you're going to use the green beans. So we'll just start filling the bags here. I like to fill the bags with 1 pound increments of beans. So I do use my bathroom scale for making sure that it's 1 pound. Or kitchen scale, I should say, not bathroom scale. A little bit more. Perfect. You certainly do not have to weigh them out, but it kind of is my OCD that likes weighing them out. And so far this year, we've done quite a bit of canning of green beans, and we've also done some freezing as well. However, I do like to have a little bit of each, and right now, with this harvest, I didn't feel like I had enough to make canning worthwhile, so that's why I'm freezing. And I have plenty canned. So Ben over here is just operating the food saver. And when they're in the food saver bags, the final product that's ready for the freezer looks like this. Beautiful bags of green beans. So tonight we ended up with 7 bags of green beans for the freezer. So it's a good thing that we decided to do the final harvest. Otherwise I would have been 7 bags of beans left out in the garden. And I was seriously considering just leaving those out there. So we'll get those in the freezer, and make sure to like this video and subscribe to Canning with Leah. See you next time.